Good afternoon, everyone. This is Teresa. I'm the Christian Ed Director at St. John's Church. I decided to start something a little different because I am a big gardener, as many of you do know, and I love herbs and the folklore and the history about them. So I decided, since I have done a couple talks on them, to start a little series and talk about a few of them that we find in history, in the Bible. And it's really cool once you start learning and knowing how many people and how many herbs are in the Bible and passed down through history. And I'm talking to be fun and for you guys to learn some things. And I'm calling my little series Fertile Soil. And today we are going to start to talk about mint. Mint is a very well-known herb, so I thought I'd start with that, and it's one of my favorite herbs. I'm right now sitting in the middle of my my mint patch, so it smells really good sitting out here, and I'm so glad it's not so windy. And it's a little chilly, but that's okay. So I want to talk a few things about the Bible. And the Bible there's disagreements about it, but it's about 2,700 years old is when some of those stories come from in the Bible. And that's a long time ago. And in the Bible, plants are first mentioned in that Bible in the very first book of the Bible, in Genesis. In Genesis 1, then God said, "Let the earth bring forth grass, the herb that yields seed, and the fruit tree that yields fruit according to its kind." So right there it is, right at the beginning. So that's really cool. And throughout the ages, Hebrews have attributed holiness to many species of plants. And the scriptures associate feasts and rites and commandments with many plants and their cultivation, actually. And early written information about herbs are found in the Bible, even way back when Moses was around, or even earlier. So mint, or can be called horse mint, is thought by many Jewish scholars to be the mint that is referred to by Jesus in Matthew 23:23, while he was talking to the Pharisees. Mint grew in the Holy Land in many countries in the Mediterranean. Now, the Holy Land, okay, let's see, we have, this is where we are, right? And then over here, ooh, I gotta look at it this way, we have the Mediterranean area. So it's quite a ways away from us. So it comes from that area, actually. And so the Jewish people, in their book of law, they used mint to tithe. Tithe means that they gave 10% of their money or crops to the Lord. And that money usually went to their temples. The Pharisees, they were like lawyers. They knew everything. They were well-known legal experts. They memorized commandments. The commandments in the Bible, actually. So in the Bible, there's not just 10 commandments. There's a lot more than that. I'm sure you can't guess how many. Well, maybe some of you already know, but there's like 613-ish. I think that's the number, plus the 10 commandments. There's 603 plus the 10 commandments. So there's 613 commandments in the Bible. It's all about laws. And the Pharisees had those memorized. They were down pat. They knew all those. So they memorized that. So in Matthew 23, chapter 23, this whole story is about Jesus telling us about hypocrisy. And so mint was used to tithe. In other words, mint was used as money. And mint was so widely easily cultivated. There was so much of it around that the value of mint was not real high. So when the Pharisees were trying to collect taxes or anything, they paid their taxes with mint. So it's almost like comparing a penny to a dollar. So, hi Tiffany. So when the Pharisees paid their taxes, they paid with pennies, and while they're asking everybody else to pay with dollars, is kind of a simple way to explain it. So the Pharisees were using mint way back then to do some tithing, and it is mentioned in the Bible about that. They weren't very happy and joyful people, the Pharisees, and they focused on small things like washing their hands. You go someplace, you had to wash your hands first, you had to do all that. Well, we all know about washing hands right now. But they neglected things like loving God and loving their neighbors. And happiness comes from loving God, and joy comes from doing things for other people. And in this story in the Bible, Jesus is trying to teach them the hypocrisy of using mint to tithe. So anyway, so mint comes from a Greek word. I'm not going to say it right. I'm sure I'm not going to say it right. But heduosamon is one of the words it comes from, and that means glad and joy and rejoicement. And it's so cool. And also mentha, mint is part of mentha. If you think of menthol, that means having a sweet smell. It's a sweet smelling herb. So this plant derives its name. This is a really fun piece of folklore. It derives its name from Mintha, M-I-N-T-A. And that refers to a Greek nymph. And this nymph was loved by Pluto. And what happened was Persephone, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, learned that after Pluto loved the mint, he was very upset that somebody else loved his wife. So he turned her into a low-growing plant. He turned her into mint. How about that? So that was kind of cool. So there's many different varieties of mint that grow. And when they refer to it in the Bible, a lot of times it's referring to horse mint and a bitter herb in the Bible. Horse mint is very similar to mint. It just grows a lot taller. And over in the Palestine area, it grows still to this day really tall. And it's kind of in the Monarda family, bee balm. And it's still found today in the Holy Land. And Hebrews used this mint way back in their houses as a strewing herb. Strewing means they dried it and they let it lay on the ground, and it smelled really good when you walked on it. So they didn't have Febreze back then, so there we go. They strewed mint all over the ground. So what is the spiritual meaning of mint? Well, mint I call mint a joyful herb, and it's happiness. It makes you just feel so full of energy and so happy when you smell it. You can hardly help yourself. You can carry, this is a little folklore thing, carry a piece of mint, a leaf of mint, carry that in your pocket for good luck. And it may help you find a couple extra dollars that you didn't know you had lying around somewhere. So when a person smells peppermint, it actually sends a message to your brain, which releases a mood. It releases hormones in your body to put you in a good mood. So mint's history is so long. It is like centuries long. And some of the things that mint's used for is stomach problems. If you ever had maybe an upset tummy when you were a child or something, sometimes your mom said, oh, here, I'm making you a cup of mint tea. Well, there's a reason for that, because mint really does help your digestion and it helps your stomach. And let's see, I have a couple different kinds of mint growing in my yard. There's all different kinds. This here is just your run-of-the-mill mint. It's growing now. It's not much taller than maybe 5 inches right now because it's just starting. We're early in the spring, but it's beautiful. And then I have what's called chocolate mint. I don't know if you can see the tiny edges of the mint and underneath how it's such a different color. But the edges of the mint have like brown on it, and that's where the chocolate comes from. It doesn't, I will tell you, it doesn't taste like chocolate at all, but it also has a salty, a little bit saltier fragrance to it than the regular mint, but it's really good. It makes really good tea. There's so many different kinds of mint, and I'm just kind of touching on a few of them. But this one here is called cat mint. Now, it's not catnip, very different than cat mint. Cat mint, cats don't care about it. They don't eat it like catnip. But the cat mint is so pretty, and it's starting to bloom right now, and it smells so sweet. Now, one of the characteristics of mint, and I'm going to strip these off the stem, these leaves, if it works here, so that you can kind of see one of the characteristics of mint is the stem is square. It has a square stem. So if you want to try to identify something as being in the mint family, look at the stem, and it's square. There's an spearmint also, which is a sweeter, more subdued mint flavor that you have. It's really good. It makes some great tea. Pick a piece of the spearmint. Now the leaves are a little bumpier, and some mints have hairy leaves and hair on the stems, but that's okay. Spearmint is sometimes a little bit pointier, jaggier edge, and it's really, it's so good. I like spearmint actually to chew on. So you can chew on it. It's almost like tasting a piece of spearmint gum. So you can just pop it in your mouth and eat it. And it's not harmful at all. So there's so much to talk about mint. Mint has such a big history. In England, it was introduced by the Romans. So way back in 1440, the mint is mentioned in some of their books. In 1440. It was found in some of those books that it was used in an early toothpaste. I hate toothpaste, but I like mint. But anyway, early versions of toothpaste was found in 1440. Let's see here. All the talk about stomach problems is found with mint. If you want to make some mint tea, let me give you a little tip on that. If you're picking mint from your garden and you want to make some tea, everybody makes it a little different, but I make it so much that I'm just in a habit of doing it this way. Okay? I fill this, I don't have measurements, sorry. I pack this full with mint leaves, fresh mint leaves. Pack my pan, it's about a 2 quart, I think. Pack it. Then I boil water and I pour it over top of the mint leaves till they're covered. Put the lid on, put it on the stove, and walk away. And I kind of forget about it, but don't forget about it for more than like 30 minutes. Then come back, strain it off into a little strainer, and this makes 1 gallon of mint tea. So it's kind of a concentration of it. So I strain it off, and then I add sugar to taste. And for 1 gallon of mint tea, I usually use about 3/4 to 1 cup of sugar in that, then you're good to go. Some people add regular black tea, tea bags to it, but I just use a straight up mint because I think it tastes wonderful. And it's one of my memories. Smells really give you some good memories throughout your life, like chocolate chip cookies. You can remember baking cookies. Well, mint is one of those ones that might give you some good memories. When I was a kid, me and my cousins, Karen and Kim, if you're watching, we used to spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I was at their house, and they were butt up against a farmer's field. And one of my earliest memories of good smelling plants is when I was in grade school, and we would go back into the farmer's field and find meadow mint. Meadow tea is what we called it when we were kids. And you could smell and touch those fuzzy leaves of that mint. And boy, that gives such good memories. So mint history, how did it come over here to the USA? Well, pilgrims probably. A lot of the research I did, a lot of the pilgrims that came over are most likely the ones that brought mint over to us. And so thank you for that. Spearmint and mint, they have a lot of different nicknames. And spearmint sometimes is called ladies' mint because it's more soft and feminine and sweeter. And they used to actually put mint in their milk to help it from spoiling. If you remember years ago, they didn't have refrigerators. So mint has so many different properties that they would put a couple leaves in the milk to keep it from spoiling so quickly. And when they would feed it to the babies, it would help their babies with their little upset stomachs as well. You can put mint in the leaves right in your bottle of water. I put mint leaves in my water when I'm working in the garden, and it's just refreshing. It just flavors it just a little bit. The mint family is widespread throughout the world. It's not just here, it's not just over in England, it's not just in the Mediterranean, it's all over. Very easy to grow. Some people think it's a nemesis. They don't like to grow it because they say, oh, it's going to take over my whole garden. Well, mint grows so close to the surface, it like reaches out like fingers everywhere. And yes, it does spread, but I've had my patch of mint here for probably 15 years and it's still in the same spot. I cut the edges and I divide it, and it just pulls up so nicely from the ground. Like I just reached down right here now and I pulled up some mint. See how it just is growing? It just creeps atop the ground. It's not like real deep. You don't have to get a big shovel and dig it out. It grows great in containers. It does like sun, but the nice thing about mint is it also grows in the shade. So it's not very picky on where it's growing. So what I'm going to be doing today, if anybody wants any mint, I am going to be dividing my mint up in my yard today, and I'm going to plant it in containers and divide it up. So if anybody wants some mint, I will definitely share it with you. I'm going to put some out on the front of my home. If you know me, you know where I live. If you don't know where I live and you want some mint, just send a message and I will tell you my address, only if I know you. If you're a stranger, sorry, I'm a little funny about strangers coming. But if I know you, if I know your name, I will definitely share some mint with you. So don't forget to do that if you want some. Another good thing to do with mint these days is I'm making a few of these masks, because we have to wear masks these days. And my masks have a little pocket in them. And in the pocket, if you don't want to smell your own breath coming back at you, not that you have bad breath or anything, you can put some mint in there. And it smells so good. And mint has properties that is antibacterial, antifungal. I'm not claiming it's going to keep the germs away, but it won't hurt. And it smells great. So there's an idea. If anybody wants to tuck something in their little mask, mint is a great one, and it'll perk you up and it'll smell great too. Let's see. There's so many different varieties of mint. I already talked about that. Let's see. Mints are very hardy. Now, to dry mint, you can cut it, put it in bunches. Now, I don't cut my mint until, where are we? We're in April, probably May, when my mint is maybe 12 inches high, maybe a little less, maybe 10 inches. I will harvest it and I'll cut it and I'll put it in bunches, put a little rubber band around it, hang it up, and dry it. Now, mint, this is my dried mint. When you use dried mint, you use half of the amount than you would for fresh mint, like if you're making tea or something. And the reason is, when it dries, it concentrates all those essential oils in the leaves, it concentrates them. So it makes it a little stronger when it's dry, and that usually holds true to most herbs when you dry them. So drying mint is very, very easy. Another way to use mint, now of course you're going to need to do some research on your own about essential oils, because the essential oils are wonderful, but you need to know what you're doing with them. But peppermint essential oil is one of my favorites too. I actually have some here on a cotton ball so I can smell it when I'm talking to you guys. I use peppermint essential oils a lot for my head. I get headaches once in a while, and just to perk me up, it is great to perk you up when you have a headache. It actually helps reduce swelling as well. So if you have inflammation issues, of course you know that you smell mint in different rubs, for muscle rubs and things like that. It's because it has anti-inflammatory properties to it. And so it's very helpful for that. Also, mint has some fun, let's say, folklore about magic. I found a lot of it. It's used as to strengthen when you're reading, even when you're reading from the Bible. It's supposed to sharpen your brain so that you really can concentrate. It has some properties in it that is supposed to make your prayers stronger or make the magic stronger. So it was used to really make things a little bit more powerful. Let's see here. What else can I tell you about mint? Of course, other than drinking it and giving you some personal strength, it also gives you courage and to prepare for something that you might be working up to have some kind of meeting that you're really nervous about. Have a cup of mint tea, chomp on a couple mint leaves. It'll give you a little bit more courage, so they say. You can use it to wash the floor. I put mint leaves in a lot of things. You can put, just get a basin of hot water to soak your tired feet from the day. Stick a couple mint leaves in there. If you don't have any mint leaves and you have a pack of mint tea, brew the tea. Soak your feet in it. There's fine. No problem. And yes, you have to make sure, Tiffany, that there's no ants on your leaves before you put it in your water. Gotcha. And make sure that you don't have animals going potty all over your mint patch before you make it. Let's see. Another folklore thing is to carry mint in your pocket for good luck. I don't know if I repeated that or not. And some people swear about growing mint near your house, close to your house, to help keep flies and ants away. And it's also said to kind of help keep mosquitoes away. I don't know if any of that has validity or not, but who cares? Mint's good to grow anywhere. It's so easy to grow, and the oils stick to your skin. So if I would put some of this or rub on some mint leaves, I would wash my hands and still smell that mint. So you have to wash it a couple times for that mint to go away. So those oils are very, very powerful in your mint. So I have, what else do I have here to show you? Not a whole lot, because mint is so cool to have. Let me show you my mint patch. Can you see? It's everywhere. It's all around. There's tons of mint. So I'm going to be digging up some mint today, and look it up in the Bible if you want to. Look up Matthew 23:23. See what that's all about. Jesus' talk about hypocrisy. Well, I don't know. I hope you enjoyed this today. I'm going to do something next Friday. If you have an herb that you might want to hear about, just shoot me a message. If not, I'll pick one because I got lots of them. Thank you for watching. See ya. Have a blessed day. Bye-bye.